Hey, what's up, guys? It's Jordan with the Laundromat Resource Podcast. It's show 157. And I'm pumped you're here today because today we have Todd and Taryn on the show who go through this process they've been going through of turning this broken laundromat, the zombie mat, around. And we're going to go into the details of what it is they're doing and how they're laying the foundation for a future empire in the laundromat space. So super good episode today. We get into a lot of different details. And Todd is the owner, operator of this laundromat, and Taryn's joining us. And she's doing all the marketing for this laundromat. So we dig into marketing as well. So lots of really good stuff in here. I know you're going to love it. The only fast lane tip I have for you today is this. We've got Q&As galore going on right now. So make sure you go to laundromatresource.com/events to check out what Q&As we have coming up on the docket, and make sure you come join those. These are opportunities for you to get questions answered by other industry professionals and also different people who are supporting our industry, whether that's software companies or marketing companies or whatever the case may be. Maybe we'll get some manufacturers on here at some point, but different industry experts as well coming on these Q&As. So make sure you come check that out. That way you can hear what's going on in this industry early on so that you can plan ahead and pivot your business accordingly when necessary. And there's movement happening in our industry right now, lots of movement happening. And some of these Q&As are revolving around that movement. So make sure you go to laundromatresource.com/events to check out what Q&As are there, or you can just follow us on any of our socials at Laundromat Resource or on YouTube at Laundromat Resource as well. Awesome. All right, let's jump into it with Todd and Taryn. And this is a party. This episode is a party. We're going to have a good time, but we're also going to learn a lot. All right, see you on the back end. What's up, guys? It is Jordan, and I'm here with Todd and Taryn. Super duper excited to see you guys and have you guys on the show. Thanks for coming on. How you guys doing?
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm great. Super excited. Again, we've got the East Coast, West Coast thing going on over here, and I'm going to establish dominance right now. West Coast, Best Coast. I just got to put it out there right now from the get-go. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, I cannot wait to hear just in our very brief pre-talk before we hit that record button. I got very excited about your ambitions and what it is that you're lining up to do. So can't wait to hear about that. So let's start with Todd. Can you give us a little bit of background on you? Who are you? And how did you weave your way into this weird little industry we're in here?
Let me see if I can paint the picture without taking too much of our time. So most people don't grow up saying that one day they want to own a laundromat. My intro to it started probably when I was 8 or 10 years old. My father, I was raised in a very entrepreneurial family, been in business for myself for the last, 25, 26 years. But as a kid, my father was a CPA, still is, came home one day after doing some accounting work for a company that owned dozens of laundromats. So this is almost 40 years ago. And all he saw was, wow, this is a business we need to get involved in. But unfortunately, never did. It was always, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this, and just never pulled the trigger on it. Fast forward to a few years ago, having a couple other companies, a commercial flooring business and chemical company, it was time to say, you know what, screw it, let's just do it. So I went ahead, took the capital out of the checkbook and went searching for our first store. Taryn was already working for me doing marketing and media in my other businesses. So kind of had literally a 5-minute meeting on what we thought the branding and business should look like. And she disappeared one day in the office, started taking pictures of my dog. We knew we wanted to make the dog the mascot. And I walked by her desk and she's got her iPad out and she's drawing a picture of Kobe, our dog, and she's playing around with it. And what are you doing? She's like, that's going to be the logo for the new laundromat that you're buying. I'm like, okay, I guess we're in it. So after waiting 40 years to finally enter the business, we went shopping, did a whole bunch of research. I'm a big Cody Sanchez fan. I don't know if you follow Cody at all, but she preaches small, boring businesses and taking them for the next generation. Me, again, having decades of an entrepreneur experience, it was time to take that little 8-year-old kid and turn him into a laundromat owner. To be honest with you, it's become an obsession. We've absolutely fallen in love with the business. The flooring business is still fun. It's nice and can earn a nice living from it. But I don't know, there's something about this mom and pop small business representing the community, taking care of the community. You guys, we go into this, you'll see that we're philanthropically involved in the community with our store. It has become our obsession. As we go into the interview, I'm sure Taryn will say, as a someone in her young 20s, her friends are constantly saying, "Please stop talking about laundry. How could you be so obsessed with laundry? How do you even enjoy working in the laundry business?" It has become our obsession. I wish I did it 40 years ago when we first talked about it, but that's where we are. So we've now built out really cute branding. I think that's how you found us, finding our social media pages and seeing all the great branding that Taryn's been doing. Uh, so we've got something really consistent, and it's now built to, after going through our first, Rubik's Cube of a store and tackling all the breaks and errors and HR issues and fires and everything else you can possibly imagine that goes on in these stores. We're ready to now actually grow this into something significant, multiple locations, probably across multiple states, and do something real.
Awesome.
So that's the
Awesome.
simple back of how we got here.
So the classic 8-year-old dreaming of owning a laundromat. We've all
That's
been
right.
there. We've all been there, man. Yeah, that's awesome. No, that's really cool and really exciting. And it's funny because I hear all the time, like, "Oh man, I've been thinking about getting a laundromat forever, for years or for decades," and I'm always like, "Well, why haven't you then?" Yeah. But it's very common. So kudos to you for being like, "Okay, listen, we got to draw a line in the sand somewhere, and we're gonna go out and get it." Taryn, tell us, who are you? It sounds like you're in the marketing space, so give us a little bit of your background. And listen, Todd says that you're super into laundry right now, but we want to hear it from your mouth. Are you? Is he just putting words in your mouth?
I definitely am. Anytime I'm on vacation, I drag everybody that I'm with into laundromats because I just want to see what they're doing and what we could do better and all of that. So I'm definitely obsessed with it at this point. But about me, I studied marketing in undergrad here in New Jersey. And then I did my MBA from Louisiana State. And since then, I've basically been working with Todd and just building out social media and websites and everything you can think of. All of the traditional marketing and all of the ads online and all of that stuff. It's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Well, we're gonna have to dig into some marketing and what kind of marketing you're doing and what lessons you've learned in the laundry space with marketing. It's so new to our space, the marketing side of things, and so I'm always interested to hear kind of how that's going. And branding too. Like, it blows me away that so many laundromats don't do any branding at all. So we'll dig into branding a little bit too. But Todd, can we jump back? Okay, you made this decision. You're like, okay, it's the time. We're getting into the space. We're going to buy that laundromat. Can you talk to us about, like, what was the process like of going from making the decision to actually owning a laundromat? How did you find it? What was the process like of actually buying it?
Sure. So obviously using the traditional loop nets and biz buy sell and whatnot, uh, for the first store actually worked. Going after other stores that we're shopping for now, it's not working anymore. It's such a crowded space for everybody who actually wants to pull the trigger and get into this. Quite frankly, you have a lot of people out there, "Oh, it's an easy business. I can just buy it. It's going to cash flow by itself." I love the term absentee. It's a far from absentee business. So always on those loop nets and biz buy sells, they're advertising the absentees and whatnot. When I call on those owners now, there's 6 or 7 offers already on a store. So I do think we got a little bit lucky with the first store.
When was
We
that
bought a
for the first one?
November 22 is when we closed on
Okay.
it. The letter of intent went out in, well, I guess it must have been August or September
Okay.
of that year. We closed very quickly.
Yeah.
We bought a broken store. I mean, broken in every way, shape, or form.
Taryn's face
You
says
had
it
to
all
know,
when you said that. She's like, "Oh my
not
gosh."
just physically. The whole vibe at the store was just trashed.
Yeah.
Uh, so that and I, again, being a seasoned business owner and knowing what it takes to to restore businesses, even my own. I had two companies that almost failed and took them out of the ashes, and now they're incredibly successful. So I wasn't afraid of buying a broken store. If anything, that's what we went at. It was a small investment. If it would have failed, you could have shut it down. I would have said goodbye to the capital. It wouldn't have been a big deal. It would have hurt, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. So we found a very small store with a very motivated seller. We know he was motivated because there was competition opening very close by. And he knew that he didn't have the capital to weather the storm when that store opened up and in the condition and his customer base and what the store was. So it's a small store, maybe 30 washers, 32 dryers at the time. Everything beat to hell. Half the machine's broken. He was doing all the repairs himself. And instead of fixing, he just put him out of order until eventually it was going to dwindle to nothing left. No air conditioning in the store, so customers would complain all summer long that it was too hot. No computers, no systems, bad lighting. I mean, it was everything wrong with it. And again, with competition opening 3 months later around the corner, he knew that the last nail was going to go in the coffin. And if he didn't sell it for $1, he would have lost everything. I wish I paid $1 for it, but you get the drift on that.
Yeah.
So it was an easy decision. Closed very quickly, did minimal diligence just because it really didn't matter. We knew we were going to basically restore the store physically and then go at developing a customer base. On day one, that was already an uphill battle. We had about 2 months to get into it before the new store half a mile away opened up. So that gave us a little bit of lead time to at least put new flooring in, new lighting, new paint, fix as many machines, learn how to fix machines, put computers in so you could start taking credit cards and managing a database of wash and fold, start building out some branding and websites. By the time we got all of that going, the new store opened. And as expected, he went 50% off for 3 months. So it was like you had a vacuum. You heard everybody just leave our store. But again, it gave us time to really build out the systems and figure out the HR and the training and how we want to professionally wash and fold laundry. By the time we navigated all that, I mean, the store has been, every month over month over month, just satisfying to watch it continue to grow. I wish it's that easy to find other stores. We have a process that we use now to at least seek out other locations, which is working. But this first one, I did get a little bit lucky because, again, we had an incredibly motivated seller.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got lucky, but it's scary, right? Like if you're going into a store that is broken in every way, to use your words, it needs a lot of work, both, on the machines and all that stuff, but also just on the vibe of the store, right? The branding, all
Sure.
that stuff, the sentiment from the customers, and you have a brand new competitor coming in a few months away from close. Like that's a pretty scary prospect. So I'm curious, as you went to work on this thing and the competitor opened up, and I had that experience too, where people just left in droves because they were doing all these crazy promotions that I just couldn't do, to get new customers. What were you thinking, and how was there a strategy to like win customers back, or were you just going to kind of wait it out until they just trickled back, or what was the plan there?
So the store has one distinct advantage to it. It's across the street from an apartment complex, about 600 apartments that don't have wash and dryer in the unit, and they don't have laundry rooms in the space. Mm-hmm. So this store was supposed to be built initially as the laundry room for that development. And I'm sure years ago when it was properly run and with prior owners, it probably did. The last owner alienated so many of them that they had already gone somewhere else. So by the time, even the competitor, by the time I bought it, they were barely washing in my store to begin with. And when the competitor opened on the other side of that apartment complex, it was easy for them to say, let me try something new. Mm-hmm. So we knew that as we rebuilt the store physically, making it more aesthetic, that we'd be able to attract them at least to come and back to our laundry room. So that was somewhat of a customer base already ready to go at. The rest of it was all built around pickup and delivery service. So the prior owner did have a modest wash and fold business, and he was local, so he would do pickup and delivery on his own. So we were thrust on day one, in order for us to at least maintain 80% of that customer base, we also had to grab on pickup and delivery service. So that was really integral in us going at wash and fold. On day one, we had to hire delivery drivers and get a vehicle just to manage the existing. And then we used that as a lever to really go at expanding the market, going further to get our laundry, all while we were restoring the store, getting it ready for our neighbor to come in, for the apartment complex to come in.
Yeah. Okay. So you had at least a small kind of customer base on the service side with drop off and pickup and delivery, but
Correct.
I mean, it sounds like you had to ramp that up as well.
Quick.
Okay.
Yeah. On day one, it was navigating people, the old attendants literally quitting on the first day we closed on the store. Day one, you walk in, I'm your new owner. This is my last day. So that was HR issue one, followed by hiring delivery drivers and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah.
Broken in every way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, while that's tough, that was probably a blessing in disguise. You probably didn't want them sticking around. If that's,
no. They were probably they left because they couldn't, they saw a new owner. They wouldn't be able to do the shady things they were doing before.
Yeah. I mean, I see that a lot too, right? Like either people are doing shady things or skimming quarters without the owner knowing, or sometimes with the owner knowing, or, especially if it's a rundown laundromat, a lot of times, the attendants, they just have like a cush gig there. Like they don't really have to do anything. The owner's not making sure they're keeping things clean and keeping the atmosphere, upbeat and that kind of thing. Right. And so when a new owner comes in, they're like, oh, I'm gonna have to work now. Like, no, I'm not about that. I'm out of here. Like, right.
Oh, the moment we plugged in a POS system, they were gone.
Yeah.
As soon as they saw they either lost their skim or lost their whatever thing they had going on, they were gone.
Yeah.
Before the POS system, they actually, if you picked up after the attendant was gone, you just put your payment in the mailbox, grab it and go home.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey man, I like
great deal for them.
I like the thought of that. That just doesn't seem practical. If only it was, but yeah, that's okay. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, like you said, broken in every way. So awesome. Well, okay. So when you took over, you got people quitting, and you've got to hire some new people and all that stuff. Did you find that revenue was what he was saying it was, or did he even tell you? I mean, you say he didn't do a whole lot of due diligence. Did he even say like, here's how much money's coming in?
So I tracked the checkbook. I got 12 months of bank statements. It's always a good place to at least see the money flow, see what bills are really getting paid through there. And then you start to see some consistency, it's not getting deposited. The wash and fold revenue was real to begin. So we at least were able to track that and see that cash coming in was consistent with what he had advertised. The coin counts that I did for a couple of weeks at least showed what the number should have been. So it gave us a good starting point to at least know what our revenue should have been at or around. Prior to the new store opening up, the first 2 months were pretty close. They were maybe 10% off. So not nuts. Yeah. That much I can respect. As much as I didn't do too much diligence because I really didn't care. All I really care when I'm buying a store now is what's the rent. That's it. The utilities, we know what the utilities are going to be. We know what our operating cost is to run a store. Because right off the bat, we're going to do X in wages and Y in everything else. So all I really care about is what the rent is. So at the very least, his revenue was close.
Yeah. And then that's a good sign. And I almost was kind of wondering if it was going to be more than he, like if
I was hoping, but
yeah,
I'm sure that happens.
Yeah. Sometimes that happens if especially when the employee quits, day of and stuff, it's, they were skimming, a couple grand a month off the top and the owner had no idea. And I've definitely heard that happen multiple times.
Sure.
My fingers were crossed for you on that one, but no luck.
It didn't take long within a couple of weeks to start to see the people from across the street come in and at least poke their head in and see the construction, see what was going on. Oh, I used to come here and I stopped going 6 years ago. So we were able to at least start to see that. And we probably did get a revenue jump for the first, after that for about a month. But then that new store just squashed it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we went almost in half. We went almost in half when
I
he
saw a
opened.
40% drop when that happened to me.
Sure.
Initially, at least. Yeah. So that feels like a punch in the gut.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah.
but it gave us a chance to build what we wanted to build. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the revenue. It sucks to have to feed a business and write checks every single month, but I factor all that into the purchase price of the store. At least for the first year, any of that extra money that had to go in is all just basically what you really paid for the store.
Yeah, which is where that entrepreneur savvy comes in. When I got into business, I had none of that, and I had no idea I was going to be writing checks. So it was like brutal, right? If you don't know and you haven't planned for that, that's tough.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people, I'm sure, drown.
Yeah, it happens. Well, unluckily for your competitor, you have a secret weapon in Taryn over here, which is great. Which I want to jump to you in a second, but kind of going back, did you put in any new machines or anything like that, or just get them all fixed and working? What was the strategy around like the physical location? Did you renovations? What was that like?
So we did day one. So I have a commercial flooring company. It's my other business. We do polished concrete, epoxy, some tile work. So right off the bat, it was trying to get the aesthetics. So on day one, tile went in, new paint. I had to go on YouTube and learn how to fix our Dexters. Dexter's got great material for repairing machines. Their content is fantastic. It did take a significant purchase in parts. Day 4 of the store, we had a fire. That was great.
Dryer fire or what?
Dryer fire, day 4.
Oh no.
Beautiful day. I'm standing out in front of the store talking to the deli that's right next door. And I look up, there's smoke coming out of the roof.
Oh,
he goes, I think that's your store on fire. I'm like, no, I think that's your deli. He goes, no, that's your store.
Oh no.
Go running in. Luckily, it didn't spread. We put it out instantly. It was just some smoldering clothes inside there. Somebody had a bath mat or something that had did the nails. It was something like that. We got the rags out quickly. So that was a great intro into what could really happen in this business. Never really planned on that or thought about that at all. But the renovations took some time. I didn't barrel right into it because we wanted to really see what was going to be necessary. And then over the next month, machines started getting repaired, parts started coming in. The largest machines in the store had been down forever. They needed the most work, bearings and inverters and everything that goes with it. But once those repairs started happening, that's when people started poking their head in to see what's going on in the new store, which was great. They saw work going on. They see a happy owner, somebody who's motivated to build this up, and that personality still reigns free in the store. When we're there, I mean, everybody just sees smiles on their face. We love being there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a great part of being in this business, right? You're in the community. You have an opportunity, if you want it, to get to know people in the community and to let them get to know you and sort of build that relationship and create that atmosphere that you want in your laundromat there, which is pretty cool.
We that's probably the most important piece of our customer service. I mean, we do things in our laundromat that most owners are all about putting a vending machine and getting another 75 cents out of your customer, or putting in a soda machine. I go the other way. We give away free snacks, free water. I'm at Costco twice a month giving out, when you get your car or your oil change, there's a coffee machine there. When you go to the dealership to get your car fixed, there's bags of chips and snacks there. We do the same thing. We've got bins, people come in, there's coloring books and toys and games for the kids and bags of chips and snacks and bottles of water, all for free. The goal is to make it a community space, and it's our pride to be able to give that away. I don't want the 75 cents from the vending machine. I'd rather give them a free bag of chips. They're pumping $20 a week into your machine. I'm glad to give you a bag of chips for that. And then beyond that, we have a program we call Washerman's Cares, which Taryn is definitely going to talk a bunch about. Every month, there's always a calendar of different philanthropic aspects of the month, whether it's autism awareness or breast cancer awareness. So each month we're always doing domestic violence. We did something for that one month. So each month we're taking donations from the community, whether it's soap or coat drive. Would we do 60 coats, something like that? So each month we donated cars. We're always doing something for the community, which is great. It really makes it where we are part of that community. Unfortunately, people don't have a washer and dryer in their home, but you can come to our store and do your laundry and be comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I love that too. And that whole kind of community outreach, and yeah, people notice it, right? Like when you value that community and you're willing to kind of put back into, like, reinvest in that community, not just through reinvesting in your store, but also, taking care of the people, whether that's giving them free water and snacks or doing these, coat drives, breast cancer awareness, donations, that kind of thing. People notice that and it matters to them. And especially when it hits something that hits close to home, right? Autism awareness, there's so many people who are affected by autism, right? And if you have a connection to that, that means something to you, that you're a business in the community who's given towards that,
Sure.
which is awesome. I mean, I think that's a great way to, get a little PR, but also just do something. It just makes you feel good too. It's like,
No,
you just
absolutely.
feel great about doing that.
No, we got approached a few weeks ago. One of the moms who comes in all the time, her kids are in the marching band or percussion band for the high school. Asked if we can help them with washing the uniforms. Came in, not a problem. The attendants helped. They did it with them, and it was all at no cost. It feels great. We are part of that community.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. All right, we'll come back to you, Taryn. I have been warned that you are aggressive, so let's be friendly as much as we can here. No, I'm kidding. I gotta know. Todd comes to you and says, "We're gonna do a laundromat." And you're like, "Okay," and then he says, "Here's the laundromat that we're getting," and it's this rundown, broken laundromat. Like, how are you feel? Like, did you slap him or did you want to slap him?
Not him, the old owner, maybe.
Okay. I like that.
It was shocking when I walked through that door. Not what I was expecting at all.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely exciting because we got to go in and basically redo the whole thing without redoing the whole thing. We built a new store practically with everything that we've done to it at this point. But just seeing the transformation has been a lot of fun, definitely.
Yeah. Were you like, how am I going to market this thing? Like, good grief.
What do you even do? How do you, when you go online, you don't really see anything for laundromats. You see the website, maybe, the phone number, maybe, and that's kind of it. You might see an ad here or there if you search laundromat near me, but that's really it.
Yeah. Okay, so you're kind of getting into this thing. You're like, yes, laundromats. I'm digging them. I'm checking them. It's funny because that's what laundromat owners do. We talk about it all the time. Like, we go on vacation. Let's go check out the laundromat.
There's a laundromat.
Let's go see.
Saw an amazing one in Syracuse last week.
Ooh, really? All right. Shout out to Syracuse.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. So you're doing all the things, right? Like the laundromat things you've bought in, hook, line, and sinker.
Absolutely.
What's your, how are you approaching this from a marketing perspective? Yeah, I talk about this a lot. I think it's still a weakness in our industry. It's growing. More people are marketing their laundromats and their laundry service stuff. How are you kind of approaching it? How are you thinking of it? I know you're like going out and taking pictures of the dog and stuff and working on the branding. So we've got the branding side, we've got the online presence, social media, website stuff. Like, how are you approaching the marketing side of this?
So besides like the digital ads, the Google ads, the Facebook ads, all of that, we definitely really try and hit the educational side of it. So it's not really something that you think about. Everybody knows how to do laundry. Of course they do. But that's not true. And especially a lot of people don't know how to use laundromats. So we teach people how to do laundry. We do a lot of stuff on like fabric softener and not using too much, using too much detergent, stuff like that. Things that can shrink your clothes, just anything basically that the average person might not think about. We did the laundry symbols. I didn't know what they were. So if I didn't know, they probably didn't know either. So we did an entire thing on just how can we help people do better, basically, because the better they do their laundry, the better it is for us and our machine maintenance and all of that. So teach them good,
huge.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I need to go back to your profile because I don't think I still know all the laundry symbols. So I need the education also on that. Yeah, so you're hitting the educational side of stuff, which I love, and you're doing that on like social media stuff.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
And we also have a lot of stuff around the store. So we have posters and stuff on items that don't go in the dryers or different things about the community. And we're really trying in person as well as online. We're on, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We have our website that we do a lot of blogs on as well. So, just anything that we can do really to help people understand what you can and can't do, not just in our laundromat, but it helps them keep all of their stuff how they want it.
yeah. Do you have Todd dancing on TikTok in the laundromat?
Not yet,
No, he is a hard man to pin down for that. I've been trying.
Todd, man, give the people
but
what
we
they
do,
want. Come
but we
on.
do teach you how to fold a fitted sheet.
That's
Okay.
true.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice, actually. I always thought we should have like some sort of laundromat owners comp, like Olympics, basically, and like have events like fitted sheet folding and stuff like that. So
We've got the
that'd be,
person who can win it.
I think that'd be
We got
good.
that down.
Oh, I like it. I like it. All right. Well, listen, Todd, we need to see some dance moves on TikTok. Give us. There we go. All right. All right. So you got it, man. You got it. All right, Taryn, get them, pin them down. Um, have you just out of curiosity, like, have you seen like a response from these posts, like from the community or just kind of people in
100%.
general?
Not necessarily our direct community, although a few people have said, "Oh, I saw your TikToks," or "I came to visit you guys because I saw this." But for the most part, it's a lot of just people in general that this comes across their feed and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is helpful. I didn't know that." So it's a lot of just people around everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing the Lord's work for all of us over here, educating people on how to use all our laundromats. I like that.
Yep.
Um, ad wise, you said are you doing Facebook and Google ads?
Yes, those are our digital ads. We do Instagram as well. And we've tried a few different things. There's newspaper ads that a lot of companies do. There's flyers that some people do. Some people do door hangers. There's tons of opportunities to do ads on the back of receipts and stuff. So we've tried a few of them. And any of the ones that we really got a good response from, we've continued with.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's good. And I like that you've got that mix of online, offline marketing stuff and a whole bunch of kind of different methods of doing it. There's a lot of ways to kind of get the message out
Mhm.
there. When you're doing that stuff, are you doing it mostly for like your pickup and delivery business as opposed to the self-serve or both, or what are you doing
Yes,
marketing
it's
wise?
definitely mainly geared towards the wash and fold, but we've also, since we redid the store so much, we've included pictures of, the renovated place because some people didn't come because it was nasty.
Hmm.
It wasn't comfortable. So a lot of people started coming back because they saw, hey, it doesn't look anything like it did before. It's clean. And that's one of the comments that we get the most is that, oh my gosh, this place is gorgeous. It's pristine. It's so clean. And that's one of the things that we really focus on as well. So when we're marketing, we mostly gear towards that. And, but the wash and fold is definitely the biggest thing that we're targeting.
Yeah. Can we talk about branding just a little bit? Because I feel like a lot of laundromats don't brand and maybe even don't see a value in branding. So can we talk? Well, first of all, can we just back up and maybe you could sort of like give us your perspective on what is branding actually, and then maybe we can talk about the impact branding's had on your guys' laundromat.
So branding is basically just, you know, I like to think of it as the feel. What does it bring out when you see our logo, when you see our store, when you see our ads? What feeling, I guess, does that invoke? And we really want people to be comfortable, and it's part of the atmosphere in the store. We love when people are happy, and we've definitely noticed a difference with that as we continued with the remodels and everything. but just getting something cohesive and making sure that it's consistent across all of the different platforms. We have a color palette that we work off of. So everything that we produce is the same color. We have the branded bags, we have the imagery all over the store. So we have the big version of the logos everywhere, the small version. We really try and keep it consistent across as much as we can. Even in the social media posts, we have our logo, our name, all of that. So it's just, we want the brand recognition, and that's a lot of why we're doing the branding. And yeah, pretty much. But from our branding, we've definitely seen a lot of people not only come to us, but also they recognize the name. They see it everywhere. So we sponsor a Little League team currently, and so that's part of it. It has the same color, it has the same logo, and so when you see that when you're watching your kid's Little League game, then when you see it again when you're driving past the laundromat, you're going to think, hey, they actually did something. They care. They're sponsoring my son's team. Why not go check it out?
Yeah. Well,
And
okay.
I think one of the biggest testaments that we've seen to that consistency in branding, when you're in a neighborhood and you're looking for a laundromat near you, we're actually seeing Google respond to us and tell us that people are actually looking at Washerman's laundromat near me. So they're actually looking for multiple locations because of that branding.
Yeah. Well, it was going to be kind of my question. Maybe it's a little bit of a layup question, but I know, and we'll talk more about this, I'm sure, but I know, the ambition is to have many more
Many more.
laundromats, but you don't yet. So I'm curious, for those owners out there that have maybe one or two laundromats, do you think that it's worth it to invest some time, some money, some thought into branding, or is it not necessary if you only have one or two stores? What are your thoughts there?
I
John,
would
why don't you
think it's
go?
important. I think it's it's something that can only help you. It really can't hurt you, even if you have one or two locations. It will basically tie everything together, in my opinion. I think that when you walk in someplace, when you walk into a restaurant, they have a name, they have a feel. You recognize what that is. When you walk into a laundromat, a lot of people don't. It's just another building with laundry machines that you're going to use once a week or whatever. But being able to tie that into something, and I feel like it represents something when you brand it. So you can really get people to feel kind of how you want them to feel when they walk through the doors.
I think that's good. I think that's really good. Todd, were you going to say something? Or
No, I completely agree. I mean, our obviously our push to be very aggressive in branding on day one is to build that model, almost that franchise feel. So when there are several locations within a geographic region, that everything is consistent. If people move, you go from market A to market B, and if you're going to find the same brand, there's a reason why a McDonald's or Burger King is very consistent in their branding. You get that same feel, that same vibe as you go from location to location. So if you're now in Old Bridge and you're moving to a different county, and you loved going there, and you're going to love going here, and you're going to get the same vibe and the same service and the same feel and the same logos and the same jargon. It fits. Uh, for a one owner store where you're never going to go past that, I think it personalizes it. It makes it so that this is my store. This is how the vibe I'm creating it, and this is what I want it to look like. Obviously, we're trying to do something a little bit more involved than that. But Taryn said, even at one store, it really helps create that vibe and that personality to the store.
And I think it also just, it really makes it feel like the owner cares. And that's one of the most important things to us, is that when the owner doesn't care, you can tell, because it's run down. There's a lot of machines that are out of order. But when you put a little bit of time into the branding, or just making everything feel cohesive and not, a red sign over the door and blue writing on the windows, then it just makes it feel a little bit better and more organized.
yeah, I love that quote. I wrote it down. Like, when the owner doesn't care, you can tell. And the opposite's true, right? Like, when the owner cares, you can tell, right? When the owner
And
cares, you can
you
tell.
can they'll even excuse a couple broken machines because of it, because they get it. He's going to get to it, just hasn't gotten to it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of like trust building kind of in that, in those details that you're really paying attention to, and the ways that you're trying to like be involved in the community and stuff. I love that. You know, it made me think, Taryn, when you were talking about branding and stuff, I was like, man, you know, a very poignant example of this is just the laundromat industry in general, right? Like when people think of the laundromat industry, like almost across the board, people think of dark, dingy, half the like your laundromat before you took over, right? Like that's what people think of. And we just, as an industry, we don't have like a great brand because of the way that people feel when they think about laundromats, right? Which is obviously that's not a great thing. However, if you are paying attention to these details and you're being intentional about how you're trying to make people feel in your laundromat, you have the ability to really stand out in this industry in like a sore thumb because it's going to clash so much with the traditional perspective of laundromats, which I think is why, Taryn, your work matters so much in this particular laundromat. Are you, so as, I mean, I know the goal is scale up here. Are you, do you have to think a little bit differently, or does your thinking on marketing, branding, all that stuff, does that have to evolve as you're scaling up from one to multiple, or is the strategy kind of the same whether you have one or multiple?
The strategy would the oh my goodness. The strategy would be the same, just kind of ramping it up a little bit and going into new markets. It's finding who we want to market to and all of that. It's the same process that we did for the first one that we have currently. And it's everything's going to be the same because we want to keep that feeling of when you walk through the door now, it's really comfortable. Everybody loves it. You can't be upset in that store. At least I
No.
can't.
So doing it with that attitude, as we are shopping for more stores. Initially, I was looking for things that were a little bit more successful. Now we're shopping for the same thing, broken down, destroyed. Just tell me what the rent is, and then we're going to come in and we're going to make it look like our store on day one, and we're going to go at that market with basically the same direction, looking for the same type of customer base on the same path. Uh, it makes it a lot easier to search for stores now because again, it's less about going on the loop nets and the biz buy sells and see a motivated seller who just wants to pass you his net operating income and you continue. No, I'd rather take something that is dying and restore it. Let Taryn come in, brand it on day one. We clean it up, and then you go at the customer base. It's a little bit longer of a road to hoe, but you're going to come out cleaner on the other end.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a business model that can be successful once you figure out how to do it, right? And it sounds like that's what you've been doing for the last like year and a half or so, is figuring out
Yep.
how to take those broken laundromats and turn them around. And what I love, I mean, we've already talked about like all the in-store things that you have been doing, you know, fixing the machines, getting new flooring, you know, all that, you know, freshening up paint, all that stuff. Right. But then also sort of the online and offline branding and, you know, the signage and, you know, all that stuff, just to change the perspective. One thing that I've said this before, but not for a while. One big mistake I made when I bought my first laundromat is that it was a broken laundromat, similar. And I did put a lot of investment in rehabbing and retooling that laundromat. But what I didn't do was I didn't invest a lot of time, effort, money in rehabbing the reputation of that laundromat. And so I did all this work and then I didn't really tell anybody about it. And I didn't really, you know, embody that as the owner at that store. And so I like relied on word of mouth, which is great. Word of mouth is great, but it can be slow also to go. I was not proactive about it. So what I love to hear is that you guys are being proactive about, you know, turning these stores around, getting involved in the community. I didn't do any like, hey, it's, you know, breast cancer awareness month. We're going to do a fundraiser for that, or we're collecting jackets for the winter or blankets or whatever. You know, I didn't do any of that stuff. And it sounds like you guys are just killing it with that. And maybe the difference is I didn't have a Taryn which, you know, kudos to you.
I think my most favorite, if that's even proper English, donation that we did was during was it November? Was domestic violence awareness. We put out a bin, put a sign up, asked our community to donate soaps and detergents and leftover. Some people went shopping and brought in full containers of brand new detergents, and we donated, dozens of bottles of detergent to a shelter for women who are trying to seek asylum and get away from bad situations. And you still have to do laundry, you have kids, you still have to take care of a family. It was just a little way for us to at least give back and make it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And we tried hard to bring them into the store and even give them free wash for certain hours a week. And even that was frowned upon. It wasn't allowed because obviously if somebody is seeking asylum, they don't want somebody to know where they are. So we sought the only means that we could to try and at least be helpful in that piece of the community.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's those little things that make a big difference, right? In the lives of the people, obviously, who you're helping, you're donating stuff to, and that kind of thing. But also, it just makes a big difference in the community in general, right? When good people are doing good things for other people, like
that's it.
It's good for everybody. It's good for everybody.
That's it.
Awesome. Going back to the store, I was curious, and you already kind of said this, but I want you to, if you don't mind, delve into this just a little bit more. This is just like a funny little detail here, but since you own a flooring business and you do concrete, tile, and epoxy floorings, right? You said you went with the tile flooring. I'm just kind of curious as to your opinion on I see the flooring debate happening all over the place, and you're a flooring guy, so I'm just curious about that.
So my family for a bunch of years owned a number of restaurants as well. So just watching what restaurants go through with flooring, commercial kitchens battling tile and grout and filth. The direction we went putting tile back into our store, we didn't demo the existing tile, just went right over it. It was a mistake, not because of it not working well, but tile was the wrong floor for a laundromat. And no doubt should be an epoxy floor. You can get creative as you want with metallics and flake and glitter and doing all sorts of things to make the floor interesting and fun. Tile's a pain in the ass to clean. But I went with it because it was the fastest way for us to not have to demo. Again, we were just getting into it, and I just wanted to clean it up quick. We already have broken tiles that you got to repair. They're going to happen. An epoxy floor is durable and it lasts forever. Going forward, all the rest of the stores will have epoxy floors. And one day this one will be demoed and an epoxy floor will go in this one.
All right. The debate has been settled, people. Epoxy flooring it's the way to go.
It's durable. It's UV resistant. It's not going to scratch on you. You can make it a color that if you drop things on the floor, you're going to be able to find them. And then you can get creative. There's also, if you have people Google around metallic epoxy and flake epoxy, you can get super fun with the stuff and really make them look like marble. And it makes from the branding side, you can get something really unique and fun.
And you can put glitter in there.
You can put glitter in there.
Taryn, I saw the eyes glittered with glitter. She was like, we could glitter everything. I don't know, man. Glitter's my nightmare. I feel like if I get glitter on me, it's never coming off. I don't know.
I don't have to install it though.
Yeah, it's true.
Once it's in there, it's in there.
You just get to see it sparkle. That's awesome. Well, and I would just kick in, make sure you get a good quality epoxy flooring. Because I've seen some bad epoxy floorings too.
Yeah, don't do the DIY Home Depot. Get a professional, put it in. It's all about the prep. They have to grind well, make sure it's going to be well bonded, and then it'll last forever. It's not like you're getting forklift traffic. It's just pedestrian and carts. It'll last forever.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. That debate has been settled. We're just settling stuff over here today. We're just answering questions that putting the end of the debates. I'm trying to think of other debates that are happening. Maybe I'll throw some more at you later. So going back to you bought this store, you take over, your employee says, I'm out, peace. It
was a little more aggressive than that, but yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's a bird, flipping it to you, and I'm out of here. What did you do? I mean, you've got no employee, you've got a new business. Were there other employees that stayed, or was it like, okay, it's
Yeah.
on me until we find somebody? What happened?
So the prior owner was only attended from, I guess he would come in the deli next door. It's a great advantage to our store as well. We've got deli on one side, 7-Eleven in the same parking lot, pizza there. So while you're doing your laundry, you can also get
Nice.
lunch. So the deli owner next door had a set of keys, and he opened at 5 a.m. So part of his protocol was to unlock the laundromat for the owner. We put in timed locks on day one, so I didn't have to worry about being there to open the store, and they wouldn't set a time for it to unlock, set a time for it to lock at night. So even if we weren't attended, the store is still going to run on its own, which is great. So the old owner was only attended from 8 to 4, 7 days a week, or until the wash and fold was finished. So if they finished at noon, the attendant would leave. So we started that way, and I had 2 attendants there that stayed, so they were able to cover enough shifts until we found people. In the first couple of months, we kept it that way. We kept it only partially attended. It was when I needed to figure out the revenue model. I needed to figure out what hours we even needed to get coverage on. The auto locks were able to at least keep the store open and closed when we wanted it to. So the lights turn on and off on their own. The doors unlock and lock on their own. That made it super safe and easy. When we had the dryer fire, at that point was, okay, there needs to be somebody here. It's just not safe.
You were lucky
So,
you were there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was right outside. We had one more that was a little bit more aggressive. After that, things have been put in check and fixed. And again, the prior owner hadn't cleaned the ducts or the baffles for probably 10 years. Learned quickly how to do that. And how to get the right vendors to do that for the right price. We got gouged pretty hard the first time we had it done.
You didn't make Taryn do it?
No. Maybe the next time.
Next one. Yeah. That's got her name written all over it.
Yeah. But we went traditional and easy and low cost. Craigslist is a great place to put an ad up and find employees for this type of business. You get a bunch of characters come through. You get a whole lot of no-shows for interviews. You get people take the job and not show up on day one. But ultimately, we ended up with a really great team. So now we keep a pool of 4 attendants at full time that work the shifts throughout the week. We're attended from 6:30 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. So we're able to process a ton of wash and fold. 2 different delivery drivers that manage the shifts throughout the week to make sure that our pickups and deliveries are managed. They're fantastic. They'll go on the next, see how busy the next day is. If they see we've got a gazillion orders booked, they'll make their own shift. So instead of it being between this hour and that hour, they'll come in earlier. They'll stay late. The store has gotten to where it's on autopilot right now. It took a good bit to get there, but like I say this with every business I've ever been involved in, you always find talent. You just do.
Yeah. If you look for them and you take care of them when they're there, right? You got a good atmosphere for them to work in. And, the last guy or the last owner of that laundromat probably wasn't going to find good talent, because
we pay well above market rates. I mean, minimum wage in New Jersey is high to begin with. We pay way above that already. In the store, there's big screen TVs with Hulu Live and Netflix and everything else you can possibly imagine. So even if there's not work to do, there's plenty of comfortable environment to work in. One of our attendants just loves blasting music. She'll come in and she's got her crew that comes in for Disco Wednesdays, and the night shift, they're blasting disco music in there. And they turned it into a real fun vibe. It takes a while to weed through to find that talent. And you have to be willing to say, hire today, fire tomorrow if you're no good, and just keep doing it until eventually you find that core group of great talent.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like I need to come out to Jersey on a Wednesday and bring my afro and bell bottoms.
Got to come see Karen. Karen's got her music following. And
man. All right. This is happening. I'm coming out, and I'm coming out for a Disco Wednesday one of these times.
You're welcome.
Well, yeah. Employees are so key. They're so crucial, right? Because they're the ones kind of processing the laundry. So you got to have that part of it, but they're also they're the face of your business, really, right? They're the ones that are interacting with customers. They're the ones that are accepting orders. They're the ones that are, helping your self-serve customers, and finding that good team is easier said than done. But one thing that I found that you said that I found that a lot of like the best operators do is you're paying your employees well, right? And it's so hard to like make that jump for so many of us where we're like trying to cut as many costs as possible. But employees is probably one of those places where you don't want to cut costs because you get what you pay for on the employee side. And I found that to be true, at least. I don't know if you found that to be true, but I think you get what you pay for.
It's everything. Like the employees are. I'm not there washing the laundry. I'm not there knowing the names of every customer. So yeah, I try and be in the store as often as possible. But it's remarkable when you show up and the attendants. They call them my customers. They have their following, their people they hang out with every week. They know what's going on in their lives, the good, bad, and the ugly. I almost think a laundromat ends up being like going to therapy sessions sometimes. Some of the customers come in. When we were talking to one of our managers the other day, and she's like, "Oh, so and so came in, and I could just see it on his face that he wanted to get something out." And he ended up folding laundry at the table right next to where she was doing her attendant work and stayed for 2 hours, just passion through something because he sees her every week and it's just comfortable. That only happens when you pay people well. They're comfortable with their job. Firstly, they're not going to go look somewhere else for another job, and you treat people well, and you get great work out of it.
Yeah. I'm curious, are you doing anything special obviously you're paying well. Are you doing anything beyond that to attract and maintain or like keep your employees? Or do you find that the paying them well is incentive enough to attract them and keep them on board?
For now, it is. I'm always happy to add more. If we ever needed to add healthcare and everything else that other businesses are required to or need to do to enhance and grow, no problem. If we have one attendant who's been in this business for 15 years. We got her from another store, so it's that loyalty comes from somewhere. So if we ever needed to help out, if somebody needed some extra cash ahead as a pay to help get a car back on the road, I do that in my other business. We do loan programs in my flooring company where it's a pool of $1,000 and it can go out only once at a time. So if somebody borrows $1,000 from the company, nobody else can get it until it's paid back, and then we'll do $50 or $100 out of a paycheck until it's repaid. So as a business owner, I'm always happy to do those things.
And I think another thing that we do is we keep checking in with the attendants and the people that are there every day and seeing what we can do to help them do their job better. So whether it's using the card processing that we use for our self-serve customers, setting them up with it, or getting an iPad in the back so they can use the POS system without going all the way to the front. Whatever it is that helps them the most, we try to accommodate that and do everything we can to make their job easier.
That's huge, right? Like helping them help you essentially, right? Like what tools do you need to do that job as efficiently and as easily as you can? I love that. I think that's huge. And I think that makes a huge difference for employees, right? Like even if you're paying them well, if they're like, I don't know, I've been in positions where I'm like, oh dude, like you're just making me do stuff that is irritating. Like it's not necessarily all that hard, but I got to walk all the way across the store to go to the POS, or like whatever. And if you're like, no, sorry, you just got to do it. Like eventually that kind of wears on you, right? Like, so removing that friction and just making it as smooth as possible I think it's huge. That's a big deal.
The attendants knew on day one, being that we're so customer oriented and customer service oriented, if there's ever a complaint, it's not even a question. Just give them the money.
Yeah.
I'm sorry the dry didn't work. Here's the quarters. I'm sorry the wash didn't work. Here's the quarters. And then we have little cards that we had printed up that are they're called BR guest cards. So we got that from the restaurant industry. If somebody had a bad experience or something didn't dry right or this didn't happen, you give them a card. The attendant puts their initials on the back so we know who gave it out. And then the next time they come in, they hand that to us. We give them whatever they were due. So whether it's a 2-3 loads of laundry or a free dryer, it is the easiest way to keep customers happy, and the attendants have a stack of them they're allowed to give out.
That's awesome. I love that. And taking care of people, like, inevitably there's going to be probably people who take advantage of that. But in my opinion, the reward of doing that it far outweighs, the risk of having somebody try to take advantage of that. Obviously you want to like kind of pay attention. If it's the same person over and over, eventually
We've
you
had
cut
that.
them off. But yeah, but if you get taken advantage of here and there, it happens, and you'd rather take care of your customers than not, because you don't want to be taken advantage of ever. And I think that shines. I mean, it's funny because I'm listening to you guys talk, both of you, like how you're treating your customers, how you're treating your store, how you're treating your employees. And it's just all these little things that just add up to this overarching philosophy of like, we want to have a great experience for our customers. We want a great experience for our employees, and we want to have a good time doing it too, right? Like we want to love this business as much as everybody else. And all these decisions that kind of help align with that, just they make for a good business, right? They make for a good business, and they set the groundwork to being able to scale.
That's the goal.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of which, I mean, I know the goal is to scale. So, I mean, do you have any have you like putting on paper or like verbalize like, okay, we want X amount of laundromats in X amount of time? Or do you have any kind of goal like that? Or is it just like, hey, over time, we want to keep adding to our portfolio?
So the goal is to do 2 more this year.
Okay.
Then we can learn how to become a multi-store operator. It's a hurdle. So from 1 to 2, I always say at 2 stores, you complicate your life. At 3 stores, you really complicate your life. At that point, now you have to make an investment in infrastructure. Headcount them, you're dealing with almost 20 employees at that time. So there's HR that needs to be learned and figured out. There's all of the extra customer service. I mean, the phone as it is rings off the hook. So you start compounding that to multiple locations. So once we've navigated that integration, then the goal is to go hard and fast. Capital is easy. So the goal is to get, after once we're 3 or run for a period of time, to go hard and fast and get to 10 stores real fast. So whether that's going to take another 2 years to 3 years, I don't want to break the model. So getting to a multi-store operator, managing the customer service, managing the HR, we already have the systems in place, making sure that they scale, seeing if it needs a head count to be able to manage it. And then from there, again, put the foot on the gas and go hard.
Yeah. It's kind of like having kids. It's like you have a kid
No,
and you're like, that's a lot. And then you have 2 or 3 and you're like, okay, that's a lot. But then after you have 3, it kind of doesn't matter anymore. Like I have a neighbor who's got 11 kids, and it's like,
he's playing defense all day
3,
long anyways.
11, you're like, it doesn't really matter anymore. Hopefully eventually they'll start taking care of each other. I don't know, but I love that. I mean, nailing that model the first time around, making sure you've got everything kind of in place and you've learned the lessons you need to learn, because you will need to learn lessons, right? It doesn't matter if, you partner with somebody who already owns laundromats. It doesn't matter if you do all the research, you listen to all the podcasts that are out there, you read everything, you watch all the YouTube. It doesn't matter. You're going to learn lessons once you finally get into it, right? And so once you've kind of learned the big bulk of those lessons, you'll continue learning, obviously, but once you learn those and you can transplant them to multiple, that's great. And then once you can run multiple, you might as well have 11 kids at that point, right?
That's it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great strategy, and I like the, it's kind of simultaneously conservative and aggressive, and maybe that's, the conservative coming out in you and the aggressive coming out in Taryn happening there. I don't know. Maybe it's like
Conservative is not something I do well.
It doesn't sound like it. I don't know.
No. And being somebody who's been in business for himself for so many years and making all those mistakes, I grew my flooring company from 8 employees to 50 employees inside of a year and a half. Everything broke doing that.
Yeah.
Now that we know what not to do, it's easier to say, okay, we're not going to do that with this business.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and it's true. It's true, right? Like you grow too fast, you have those growing pains and you just can't keep up. And you're playing defense on too many fronts at that point. So that's awesome. And I think that's cool that, you have the, while maybe this is your first run in this industry, you've got that entrepreneurial experience there to be able to rely on and just say, hey, look, if we go too fast, too hard, we're going to burn out.
Oh, it breaks. It breaks real fast, and it goes in a blaze of
down.
glory when it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Let the fireworks roll, man. Well, you don't want to end up back to where that laundromat was before you bought it, right? So make sure it's all solid.
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah.
No, not anymore. It was pretty nasty. We got a really cool TikTok on that. You can see the evolution of it.
Okay. Well, I'm not watching your TikTok until you're on there dancing. I'm putting that out there right now. So, yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. We've got a segment of the podcast. We've gone through a lot of this stuff already, but this segment is called Down to Business. And that's just where we dig in a little bit more to your business a little bit and talk a little bit about the details. So as of right now, you've got one laundromat. You're leasing that space, right?
Yeah, dreadfully, but yeah.
I know. Well, it's hard. Like in Jersey, New York, California market, like it's hard to find them where you're getting that real estate too. They're out there for sure, but it's harder to find them there. And there's a lot of guys and gals in the Midwest who own laundromats and they're like, I'll never buy one unless I own the real estate. And you're like, whoa, man, you're going to let a lot of deals pass you by that way. But so the goal is to buy real estate with them.
Where we can.
Yeah.
This particular location, the landlord is dreadful. She wouldn't sell it at all. Plus, there's a dry cleaner, like an old school dry cleaner that does processing in the building. So it's not really a building I want to own anyways. Just too dirty. But yeah, the goal is to certainly own as much real estate with the businesses as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so if anybody doesn't know, dry cleaning business has a lot of environmental stuff that comes along with that business. And there's a lot of like remediation that needs to be done if you ever want to change it from a dry cleaner, that kind of thing. And with a laundromat, you don't get that baggage, which is a question I get asked a lot.
It doesn't always happen when you just own the building. We had some Popeyes restaurants in Texas years ago. We were buying some of the pads of land. There was a gas station up the street, and even that needed phase 3 studies on it for a year to make sure just up the street wasn't contaminating the soil for you. So when you're buying real estate, especially commercial real estate, it's those environmental studies are a real challenge.
Yeah. And especially if you're in a market like a Jersey, New York, California, those markets, they don't like to make it easy on you a lot of times.
No.
So they like to have their fun with you. Awesome. What's it costing to do laundry or drop off or pick up and delivery in Jersey there for you guys?
So our market, it's funny. I've talked to other laundromat owners, even in Oklahoma and a couple other places. The New York, New Jersey market on a price per pound basis is quite low. Our market is between $1.25 and $1.50 for wash and fold. We don't charge for pickup and delivery. It's a complimentary service. I know people think we're nuts for doing that, but we charge the same rate, the same poundage rate for pickup and delivery service as we would if you brought it into the store. We push on the pickup and delivery service. I encourage it. I would wish all of our customers would pick up and delivery. It gives the one challenge I see, especially in a small footprint store, is people drop off laundry and they just leave it there. We have one customer, we always joke she has 2 closets, our store and her home. She'll come and bring us 150 pounds of clothing, come 6 weeks later, pick up the 150. She hadn't paid for it yet, and then drop off another 150. So we're excited to get the 150-pound order. I'm more excited to get the 150 pounds out of the store.
Yeah.
And so when I'm doing pickup and delivery service, I can control how much clothing is in my store and when it's exiting. It really gives us a lot more control of that warehousing aspect of the store. And more important, from a cash flow perspective, if you're not mandating that your customers are paying when they drop off, it controls the cash flow as well, because you know when it's leaving, when you could charge the cards, or when you're going to get paid on your clothing.
Yeah, that's interesting. What went into the decision to make them the same rate, the drop off and the pickup and delivery the same rate?
Honestly, I knew we were going to have competition, and we wanted to have a competitive advantage. One of the things that I've learned in my other businesses is when you fix your costs as much as you can, you know exactly what your overhead is. Then it's just a matter of driving in as much revenue as you can down that pipe. So I know I have this many hours a week of delivery service. Those are my fixed wages. Owning the vehicle is what it is. So now I can take that overhead and again, just shove as much P&L down that pipe as possible. So it really doesn't cost me more to have the delivery service. That's part of my overhead expense.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, a lot of owners, I maybe even the majority of pickup and delivery owners say, free pickup and delivery, but it's a different rate than the drop off, which, I guess means it's not free pickup and delivery.
Yeah.
There's an extra cost there. But I haven't heard too many
And
people that charge the same for both. So that's pretty unique.
Again, the goal was you have this many attendant hours. You want to do a process as much clothing as you can during that. I don't want to inhibit the ability for that clothing to come into the store. And I already know how many delivery hours and what my overhead is on it. It may change in the future. We may add a fee to it or a different rate. But as of now, the model's working. So I'm okay. It's not even absorbing that expense. That's part of my fixed overhead.
And the previous owner also charged the same rate for pickup and delivery. So we didn't want to change that too soon and alienate those customers.
Yeah. Awesome. Are you fully attended
We are
now?
They're between the stores. The store unlocks at 5 a.m. Our attendant comes in between 6:15 and 6:30. So we have an hour in the morning where there's nobody there. It's the lightest hour of the store. I mean, it's amazing. There are people camped out at 4:45 in the morning waiting for the doors to unlock. I give them kudos. They get their chores done early in the morning. Right. But between 6:30 in the morning and 10 p.m., I would consider that to be fully attended.
Yeah. Are your laundry processors, the people who are actually doing the laundry for the drop off, pickup and delivery, are they also cleaning? Do you have somebody separate for cleaning? How does that work for you guys?
So we're lucky that we have 5 of the 7 days of the week is the same night attendant. I think she would rather clean than do anything. As much as she wants, she's great. She's super talented at processing the laundry and produces a really spectacular product. She really keeps our store immaculate. So the last part of her closing duties is sweeping, vacuuming, mopping, wiping all the machines down, opening all the doors, doing everything that you need to do to make sure that store is always immaculate. Our delivery driver takes care of the lint. So that part of the process is for safety and for cleanliness is always done as well every day. But our night attendant, their duty is to make sure the store is clean.
That's awesome.
So we lose about an hour and a half for the shift on that because it does take a while to clean the store. Maybe an hour to an hour and a half, but that's part of their duties.
Yeah. Well, and it's awesome to have somebody who takes pride in keeping that store clean and, sees it as like a badge of honor, basically.
Oh yeah.
Which is, that's great for you.
No, and if you look at our comments in Google and our reviews, I mean, everybody is always saying how clean and immaculate our store is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, some people are just gifted at stuff like that and just love it. And I'm not one of those gifted people in cleaning.
Okay. I'm the one who takes his laundry and dumps it on his bed and folds it when I feel like it.
Mine's still in my laundry room right now. Are you running coins still? Did you add any card payment system to the machines or app payment system or anything?
We added Pay Range, which is a really great hybrid. We had a lot of pushback. I know Taryn did a lot of time in the store interviewing customers and asking them what they would think if we added card systems or pay by app. And some people were super enthusiastic with it. Others literally yelled at her and said, if you get rid of my quarters, I'm leaving. I'm going somewhere else. I think it's an age thing. The old timers really want to pump their quarters in. So we added the Pay Range about a year ago. It's really slow to adopt. I really thought more people would want to pay on their phone. I thought it would make it so I wouldn't have to empty the change machines or refill the change machines ever. And you have customers who have the app, like still pumping quarters in, like, I like doing it the old way. It's remarkable how slow it is to adapt.
Do you have any idea of like the percentage of like Pay Range versus coin?
Honestly, it is 20% Pay Range now.
Yeah.
It's remarkable how it hasn't taken hold. It's a low cost entry. I mean, what is it, $70 a machine to get it integrated?
Yeah.
The fees are nominal. It's exciting now. Pay Range added an attendant feature to it. That's great. So now our attendants have an iPad and they can launch their attendant machines with the app, so we don't have to give them attendant quarters anymore. And more importantly, we can track. They have to put the order number in from the POS with each of their cycles, so we can see. We're real all about our data, so we can see how many loads X amount of pounds is taking, what machines are being used most often, and you can really start to really get your numbers, really get your data.
That's awesome. Well, and I think that's huge, being able to collect that data and utilize it to serve your customers better and increase profitability at the same time, for sure. But it's interesting because I found that a lot of times when people offer an app payment or and quarter, both, that sort of hybrid, not the card as much, but the app and the coin, I find that about 15 to 20% use the app, whether that's Pay Range or, some of the machines now, Dexter Pay and Alliance has the same thing, have an app that they can pay with. 15 to 20% pay with that app for whatever reason. It's interesting.
I wish it were 80. It's so much more efficient.
Yeah. I know. Maybe we're just not there yet. I don't know. Maybe we got to wait for that next generation to come up who's used to paying with the phone.
We will not use quarters. I cannot remember the last time I carried cash. If I was going to the laundromat, I'd have to go to the ATM first.
Yeah.
Every single time, because my generation just doesn't carry cash. If I can't pay with my phone, I'm not going in there.
Yeah. Do you pay with your phone a lot, just in general?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much everywhere, except for Walmart, for whatever reason.
Does Walmart not take?
Neither does Home Depot.
Home Depot, man. Get with the program, people. Come on. And, kudos to you guys for being ahead of Home Depot and Walmart. That's a badge of honor right there. Destined for greatness. You guys are. Out of curiosity, if you guys don't mind sharing, like, how much time are you guys spending working on this laundromat? I know you got other businesses and stuff. You got a ballpark for each of you? Like, how much of your time you're spending with the business?
I'm at the store moving quarters around and just being present. I try and get there 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to at least, again, be present for the coin move, take the cash out of the store, make sure the attendants have what they need. Plus, I just like being there. This store is about a half hour for me, so it does take, each time there, it's about an hour round trip. And I'm in the store for maybe an hour, spending time with customers and hanging out. The rest of our time is spent doing phone calls and marketing. Taryn spends full time at it.
Oh, you're full time, just the
pretty much.
Yeah.
I work a bit with the other businesses, but it's mostly the laundromat, and just we are so in tune with our numbers. We update them every single day. So it's a lot of analyzing and graphs and data mining and all of that. Everything that we can get from the numbers that we know we have, we just like to know them, everything about them.
What kind of numbers are you looking at?
So revenue. You were asking earlier whether we track turns. We're so focused on our wash and fold business and our how effective our marketing it is. So we're really drilling down on what is a cost of customer acquisition. How many cycles do they have to come in before you've paid off that marketing expense to acquire a customer, and then more importantly, how it's scaling. Watching the revenue dollars on the wash and fold business, watching the counts, seeing how the metrics of how long it takes an attendant to turn laundry, so that when how you can scale the business, how many pounds you can really shove into a shift before it breaks, and you have to start adding additional attendants. Again, the whole point of this is to try and break the model, right? We want to get it to where the store is teeming with laundry and it's pouring out the glass, to where you either need a bigger space or another store. So really tracking that data look, this was never a data-driven business, right? It was either an immigrant run or a side hustle for somebody who's like, I'm just going to own a store. And they really don't know their numbers. If anybody who's watched Shark Tank and you listen to a Kevin O'Leary, business owners got to know their numbers. We know them to the penny.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's going to give you a huge competitive advantage. I've been talking about that for years, and now in this industry is like, we have got to know our numbers. We've got to know how much it costs to acquire a customer. We've got to know lifetime values of our customers. We got, all these things that I don't see anybody hardly tracking this stuff and keeping track of it. But when okay, it's going to cost me, $50 to acquire a customer, but the customer lifetime value is $350. You can spend $50 all day to make $350,
Gladly.
right? Yeah. And then if you're watching where it breaks, you'll start to see that $50 start creeping up. And then once you get too high up there, you're like, okay, we either need to find a different channel or different demographics to hit or a different location or whatever to get that model back in line. And it's hard to make those decisions when you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants and you don't know any of those numbers at all.
As the revenue grows month over month, each additional dollar is allocated towards additional marketing spend to either grow geographically and take that pickup and delivery business further and further and further to be able to pull more laundry in, or be able to add more service and more value to existing customers, whether it's sales on bedding and all sorts of things like that to get more volume into the store. It's very difficult to acquire a customer. There's a lot of competition. You're dealing in a geographical market where most people do own a washer and dryer. You're really, being that we live in an Uber world where everything is do it for me. So you have to spend a lot of money to educate and teach your market. Hey, you know what? Go spend an hour with your kids. We've got your laundry. And once you get people in tune with that, give them a beautiful product back, something that's beautifully drawer ready. They open that bag. It's, folded better than they ever possibly could have, where they can literally just put it away and go back to their business. I'll spend $1 gazillion acquiring customers if I know I can keep them in that capacity.
Yeah. That's a lot of money. $1 gazillion.
Maybe
you should give Taryn a raise. How about that?
Goes in a bag of 50s.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Man, I'm just like, I'm like so psyched up to hear all this stuff. Cause I'm like, dude, it's so frustrating to I get to see, a big picture of this industry in ways that not that many people get to, because I'm talking to owners all over the country every single day. And I get to do these interviews with awesome operators. This is the whole point of the podcast, talk to people like you who are changing the way this industry is working, right? You're changing the standards of what it means to be a laundromat owner here. And it's frustrating when I see so many people not even doing any marketing, not even paying attention to any numbers, not even keeping, the basic stuff too, like not keeping their place clean or, machines working, that stuff. It gets frustrating, but it's so refreshing when, you talk to people who are just thinking a little bit bigger, and thinking through more details than I think a lot of us have. And in fairness, in this industry, you haven't really had to do that until semi recently because nobody was doing it. And, you just kind of got who came to you and it was fine. But it's not like that anymore.
Some of the old timers don't care. We're trying to buy a store right now where the guy who owns it, I've watched his note, he had a spreadsheet showing his P&L and his net income for the last 10 or 15 years. Mm-hmm. And throughout that, the net operating income stayed exactly the same. His business grew by 30% in gross revenue, but his net operating income didn't change. And it just didn't change. And then you start to see a decline in the gross revenue, and bye goes the net operating income. If you really understood his metrics and his numbers, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I feel like,
jump in? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I feel like one of the issues going on now is during COVID, there was a bunch of stuff on TikTok that was like, oh, laundromats are so absentee. So a bunch of younger people bought them. And then they realized, wait a second, it's not absentee. It's not cheap. I can't just open the doors and have a great business. And so they aren't spending the time that they need. They aren't keeping up with the machines and all of the maintenance issues. And so it's just whatever state it was in before, it either is the same or is deteriorating.
Yeah. I'm simultaneously I love that laundromats there's more information out there about them than ever before. It's easier to find help when you need it. It's easier to connect with other owners when you need it. However, it's harder than ever before to figure out what information to rely on and to believe. And like you said, there's you know, the typical social media thing, right, shows the highlights of this business. A lot of times it sort of perpetuates that long-standing myth that this is completely passive. You just need to come show up once or twice a week, collect some quarters, and you're good to go. And I think that part of it is not good for our business. So it's like it's like everything. There's a plus and a minus, I guess. But you're right. There's that myth is being perpetuated on some of those channels, and you see all the quarters, stacks of cash. It's attractive.
It's great for people like us who are trying to acquire other stores, because after a year of those people coming in and saying, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Let me take that off your hands.
Yeah. And that's been going on for decades, I think, in this business, where people, have been sold that myth of, once or twice a week, hour or two a week, which, I mean, you can get to that eventually. But, if you go into it with that mindset, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think the social media thing has just made that myth more widespread than even it was before, which is a bummer for people getting in that way and getting sucker punched. Didn't see it coming. Awesome. All right. Well, we've got another segment of the show called Secret Sauce. Oops, that's the wrong one. This one. And Secret Sauce is, what's your best advice or your best tip for somebody who owns a laundromat currently that can maybe help them improve their business? Maybe something working well for you or something you've learned. And I want one from each of you because I want the wisdom. I want all the wisdom here. So Todd, let's start with you. What's your best secret sauce?
All right. So we certainly talked about know your numbers. I think that's going to be always know your numbers. More importantly, you've got to really check your accounts, check your data. We take credit card processing in our store, and you're always going to have people that try and do scams. You're always going to have people that try and get one over on an owner. Before we knew how to really navigate voids and credit card processing, we had one guy actually scam us. Came in, dropped off laundry, charged it on a credit card. Just never knew how to check how somebody could void a sale. A couple weeks later, he calls his card company and says it was not a valid charge. They gave him his money back. By the time we learned about it, it was too late for us to dispute it. And then he hit us. He saw that he could do that once on like $50 or $80 worth of laundry. Came back and did it again, this time with a lot more. Brought in gazillion pounds, processed of $120, $150 worth of laundry. 30 days later, disputed the card charge. They gave him his money back. So you really got to pay attention to what's going on in your accounts. When you start seeing negative charges in your account, you guys say, what the hell's going on here? So we had somebody hit us twice. That won't happen again.
Yeah, those chargebacks are real too, and they can be tough because credit card companies a lot of times they're going to default to we'll refund your money, and that appeal process can be difficult too. But especially if you don't even know it's happening, and now you're probably just not going to do business with that dude anymore, right? Like, so
no, we almost did. He called us for a pickup. Unfortunately, rather than letting the clothing come in and then holding it hostage, I told him he would have to be, pay at pickup or pay it at point of sale. And at that point, he just refused the delivery. He didn't want it. He didn't want us to come anymore. He knew he had gotten caught.
Yeah, it ran its course. It was good for him while it lasted.
So again, while people are paying attention to their numbers, you really also got to pay attention to what's going on. Who's trying to steal from you?
Was he a drop-off customer or a pickup and delivery customer?
So his first one, I think, was drop-off. Second one, he scheduled a pickup and delivery, which makes it easier because now your credit card's on file. So the point of sale systems, the way they work, if somebody charges at point of sale and they tap the card, you can win a dispute with the card company a whole lot easier than if you have somebody's card captured and recharge it, because then they can just say, well, I never gave them authorization to store my card information. And it's very difficult to challenge it with the point of sale company.
Yeah. All right. Well, I tell you what's happening is when I come out for Disco Wednesday, we're all going to do our disco thing together. And then we're going to hop in that delivery van. We're going to go TP that guy's house.
Done.
Tonight. It's happening.
We do have his address.
That's what
We
I'm
do have
saying.
his address.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe we'll do the plastic fork thing in his yard too. Yeah, that's a bummer to have that happen. Sorry that happened, but that happens. That's business, and that is why you need to keep. Again, it's not just as easy as coming to collect the quarters. You've got to pay attention to what's going on around you, and a lot of times with these guys, it's a cat and mouse game too, right? Like they try something, it works. They try it again, you figure it out, you do something to stop it, and then they try something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be vigilant about watching your numbers and watching what's going on around you, because unfortunately, there are people who are not going to leave their payment in the mail slot when they come pick up their laundry, like the last guy.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, I know. Sadly. All right, Taryn, we need a marketing secret sauce over here. What is like, okay, I own a laundromat. What's like the best thing that I could do marketing wise to help me improve my business?
I would say really just having a presence on social media. A lot of the accounts that we interact with the most are other businesses in the area. So, for example, a few weeks ago, we got a new customer, followed them on Instagram. They follow us, but they asked somebody else for a laundry recommendation. They wanted to start wash and fold and they had no idea where to go. So, this person who's not a customer of ours, never spoken to them, nothing, but they interact with our content. They actually recommended us to this person that asked. So, just having a presence, posting consistently, and putting out stuff of value. You're not trying to sell anybody on anything. You're trying to educate the customer and really just be helpful. Anything going on in the community, any deals that you're having, anything like that, the customer should know about. And social media is a great way to perpetuate that trust, I guess. And also, Google Business Profile is king. If you don't get the reviews, that's one thing that we've definitely struggled with, getting reviews, really nailing down the customer in the store to post the review before they leave and forget. So when you have a higher rating on Google, then Google's going to push your stuff out more to anybody in the area. So that's a huge focus for us right now, is how can we get more customers? Because when we're in the store, they're super happy. They love everything that we've done. Nobody has a complaint. I mean, we have a suggestions box and it's a lot of things from kids saying, can we have more coloring books? Or you should get a pool. Or you should get,
before that
you should
disco party,
get,
I want a pool.
yeah, right? Next, we need a disco ball and lights.
That's what I'm talking about.
Do that.
I'll bring the disco ball. How about that?
I'll set up the lights.
That's what I'm talking about. Teamwork.
Yep. But just making sure, we've tried giving detergent away if they leave a review. We can't ask for a good one, of course, because that would be, against the rules. But hey, if you leave us a review, get, 60 loads worth of laundry detergent for free. And that one is not only easy for us to keep because they're the sheets, but it's also another one that most people probably haven't tried. So they're intrigued by this new laundry detergent product. So might as well, you don't even have to write anything. Just leave 5 stars, post, you're done. So just making sure they do that before they walk out the door, that's just how you have to do it.
Yeah. I think that's huge because, obviously the Google reviews is massively important, not just for Google to push you, but also like if I'm looking for a laundromat and I see one that's got 4 stars or 5 stars, but it's got 2 reviews, and I see one that's, 4.8 stars and it's got 200 reviews, guess where I'm going? As long as it's equally easy to go to, I'm going to the one that everybody's saying is good, not the one where the owner and his mom gave it a review and said it's good, right? Like, so that's huge.
Ask my mom for a review.
What's that?
I said I haven't asked my mom for a review. I should ask for one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Get on that. Look at that. That's a pro tip for you right there. Secret sauce. Get your
But
mom
even I feel like any laundromat with hundreds of reviews and 5 stars, that just feels disingenuous.
Sketchy.
There's no way.
Because you can buy those things. Yeah.
You're not supposed to.
Not supposed to. Not supposed to. Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely don't recommend you do that. Like, get genuine reviews. And what I was getting at, what I was, as I was rambling around like I do, is I love the idea of, hey, hit those people up while they're in the store and happy and in front of you. And, that's the time to strike and to ask for those reviews. And asking is critical too, right? You got to ask sometimes. People don't think to do it on their own, which is great.
Or people only
Okay.
think of it when they had a negative experience.
Yeah, that's the most common one. That's why you got to be proactive when they have a positive experience, because they will leave it when there's negative. So you got to be proactive. Okay, Taryn. So, here's the scenarios. I'm a laundromat owner. I don't even know what to do with social media. I don't know how to have a presence really online. I mean, that's a big deal, right? But I don't have the time, or I don't really want to. Like, you're doing that social media stuff for laundromats. I think you're doing some for other businesses too. Is that something that you're saying, hey, I can help other laundromats? Not the one like across the, the apartment complex. We don't like those guys. But, for other, is that something that you could actually even help other laundromat owners with, or what are your suggestions there?
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be easy, or it doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to put a lot of time and effort into it. I do, because I do it full time. But even if it's just taking a picture of the inside of the store and posting it really quick, or just reposting something from, an event going on in the community. Laundromats to us really feel like it's just part of the community. It's an extension of the entire community. So anything that's going on, whether it's breaks from schools or the parades going on in town for a holiday, whatever it is, we really want to help our customers make sure that they know about it. So we repost a lot of those things, and just the inside of the store, maybe introduce yourself. A lot of people like to actually know who the owner is, who they're talking to, who's actually doing their laundry, because it's such an intimate business. We kind of like to maybe have a face.
Mm-hmm.
For businesses out, for laundromats out of our market, and for other businesses inside of our market, we are also starting to offer services for this. So, like I said, when Taryn first started me, she was marketing our other businesses. So, as a way to kind of build out branding and build out marketing, we do now have a marketing company that we've kind of morphed out of this, called Page Two Media, where we will be able to do these services. Don't want to necessarily do them from our competition here in New Jersey for now, for laundromats, but markets outside of here, we are offering those services now as well, to help build out that branding, build out the social media, build out the Instagram, manage it long term if that's helpful to the owner. But most people don't in this business don't know how to start. So we have services where we can at least help build out your media platform for you, and then you can keep it going.
That's awesome. How do they find out more about Page Two Media? Is there a website or something they can go to?
We can post. Yeah, give you a link to send to.
We'll put that in the show notes, and all the other links and everything we'll have in the show notes too. But we'll get that in the show notes in case you're looking for some help getting that social media platform up and running and getting a strategy in place. Love it. And might get to work with the pit bull herself, Taryn, of social media over there. So, all right, we got another segment of the show for both of you again called Pro Tips. I'm gonna hit the right button this time, maybe. Pro Tips. Yes, and Pro Tips is, listen, you bought this laundromat in 2022. You guys got excited. You fell in love. You're vacationing with laundromats, yada, yada, yada. But put yourself before that, in, the decades before that, for like 4 decades where you're like, we should buy a laundromat. There's other people listening to this right now who are trying to buy laundromats or thinking they should buy a laundromat. What's your best tip for them to help them get started? Todd, let's start with you.
This is not absentee. It's not an absentee industry. More importantly, there are risks involved. You are responsible for handling people's clothing sometimes. And we've had some customers come and complain erroneously that we damaged their vintage tank tops. Well, they weren't vintage tank tops. They just wanted to get some money out of the owner. But people take pride in their look, in their fashion, in their clothing, where they buy them, and You know, you do your laundry. I remember it was the Seinfeld episode had his Golden Boy T-shirt. That's the first shirt he puts on right after he does laundry. So we're in an industry where we are. What's the one that I always use with Taryn? We get intimate with your intimates. You know, so we are folding your underwear and your lingerie and all of the clothing that you've acquired to create your look. There's a lot of responsibility in that. So to think that you're just going to buy a laundromat and it's just going to run, there's a lot of risk in that. You know, it's a real business. You're managing payroll, you're managing real expenses. From a business owner, it's great. It's the same expenses you have at home. It's utilities, cable bill, you know, one or two employees at a time. So it's not hard. It's not like you're running a massive entity, like a company with 50 employees, but you're still managing a business that needs respect. You know, to think that you're going to enter in an absentee business and just collect the cash, don't do it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate taking such good care of my lingerie too. That's important to me. But yeah, I think that's great advice there too, because I mean, this industry is changing. Like, I think you could have gotten away with that, 5 or 10 years ago, where you just come in
Sure.
and have sort of that absentee mindset. But now if I come into your market with that mindset, I'm competing with you. Right. And it's going to be real tough for me to compete with you if I'm thinking I want to spend as little time and effort and energy on this business as possible. And you're coming in with the mindset of, I want to make the greatest experience possible. And I like it. And I want to be there and I want to hang out there. And I've got Taryn on my side and together we're unstoppable. And that other laundromat, owner who just has the passive mindset, it's gonna be real tough to compete with you guys with that. So
Sure.
I think that's great advice. And there's more and more of that coming into our industry, which I think is a good thing
I
for
hope
our
so.
businesses, but also for the communities, right? I think our communities have been underserved with our laundromats. Like, think about your community, and I'm not trying to like knock on the previous owner or anything like that, but if your community has a dumpy laundromat, like, it's just not serving that community well. It's not communicating, hey, you're a valuable community. You're valuable as a person in this community to those customers. It's saying, I'm doing the bare minimum here for you guys because you're not worth me reinvesting in, right? And we just need to change that mindset. And I love that you guys are changing that mindset. Taryn, as someone who is, in marketing, this could be marketing advice or just maybe something you've observed through going through this process of getting a laundromat and turning it around. Do you have any tips for anybody who's a newbie trying to buy their first laundromat?
So I have two. One we already touched on. That's if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of you. But the other one is just have an online presence. You don't need the fanciest website. You don't need an Instagram that you post on every single day. You just need something. If somebody Googles your laundromat, they should be able to find something. On the Google business profile, there should be pictures from, what it actually looks like. Unfortunately, we can't delete some of the pictures from before we did the renovations because customers left them in reviews that we can't get rid of. But just having those pictures of what it looks like now is not only going to just keep it updated and up to date, but also maybe entice customers to come to you because, oh, hey, that looks a lot different than the one that I've been going to down the street, or that, I stopped going there because it looked like this and it was nasty, but now that it looks like this, I'll have to give it a try. So that with Instagram, post the pictures on Facebook, it can be just a few, as long as there's something about your store and all of the information. Please have a website. Please, please, please. Because if you don't even have a website, you can't really help the customers. They're going to be calling you off the hook. Hey, where are you located? What are your prices? How much do you charge for wash and fold? There's just put it on a page. It can be a single landing page as long as it has, the most important details about the business.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Just a question that popped in my head as you were talking. Let's say I'm looking for a laundromat, or maybe I have an offer in on a laundromat. At what point do I start thinking about brand and maybe snatching up branded social profiles, that kind of thing? At what point in the process do you recommend doing that?
I mean, I would do it from the beginning, just kind of hitting the ground running and getting used to doing it definitely helps instead of, going through this entire process and then thinking, "Oh, wait, let me bolt that on." Now, it's not a routine, but it's also I love the transformations. I think they are so fun. I love watching the videos of any renovations, really. So, just going along the entire process, you can find different things to make content about throughout that process. And it can either be, customer focused and how do I help you help yourself, or it can be the business side of it. There's a lot of creators that specifically are posting content about the business side of even specifically laundromats, how they go through all of their numbers and they go through what they do on every day and just yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of different opportunities, and the earlier you start, the quicker you can find kind of what you want to do with it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, taking what you're saying right now and then hearing you guys' story over this whole interview, like one sort of takeaway for me is that you guys have been strategic from the beginning. And I think that sort of solidifies that argument of like, hey, be strategic, be proactive about, your brand and your social accounts and all that stuff early on, and incorporate that into the overall strategy as opposed to, like you said, like bolting them on as in like an afterthought. So I love that. Awesome. Guys, this has been super good. I love the sort of the tandem interview here where you guys are hitting the same kind of story from two different angles, from the business side and from the marketing side. This has been awesome. There's just so much good stuff. And I love hearing how you guys are thinking, but also that you guys are like pretty in sync. You seem like you're pretty in sync with what you're doing, why you're doing the things that you're doing. And honestly, man, that sounds like a incredible recipe for huge success. I know you guys have some pretty big ambitions here. So sounds like we're going to have you back on here in not too long so that we can hear how the empire building is going. Because speaking of transformations and loving to watch those journeys, like it would be awesome to hear, as you get that 2 to 3, this year, get to 2 to 3 laundromats this year, and then next year, 10 and beyond would be awesome in the next few years. So we'll have to stay in touch with that. And then obviously we're having a disco night / TP party in Jersey sometime in the near future. Which sounds like
We'll pencil it in.
Yeah, maybe we should make an event out of it. Just invite a whole bunch of people. We could like bomb that house with a lot of toilet paper if we needed to. So,
Done.
I love it. So stay tuned. Watch the calendar, laundromatresource.com/events for that disco / TP party, because that'll be up there at some point in time. But guys, really appreciate you taking the time to come and share your story, share all the lessons you've learned, which has been like a ton. And it's so cool to hear you taking that laundromat from, your words, like a broken laundromat, and turning that thing around and now feeling pretty confident about the model you've built out and ready to start transplanting that model. So awesome stuff. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom with us. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Anytime. All right. Hope you love that episode with Todd and Taryn. So much good stuff in there. But as always, pick one thing to put into action this week. For me, I really love the community focus here. And, I think that is something that is a huge differentiator between great operators and just kind of your run-of-the-mill laundromats that are out there, which I guess nothing wrong with that. But if you want to go above and beyond and you want to be able to compete with people who are going above and beyond, that community focus, that community service focus is that's so good. And man, listen, I need to do more of that. I need to do better of that. So that's my task for this week, is to take a look at the community and see what the needs are that I can meet in that community, besides just having washers and dryers for them to use. So that's my takeaway. What's your takeaway? Maybe go share it on the forums, laundromatresource.com/forums, and get some encouragement. Go give some encouragement to some other people. And hey, let's be a community. How about that? We'll be a community together, helping each other achieve our goals faster, going farther than we could on our own. All right. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week. Peace.